How often do you get recommended a cozy game and it's a farming sim? Maybe you're wanting a game that has plants in it, but not farming. If that's the case, then I have got a crop of games that might just be the thing you're looking for. Grab your favorite mug, and let's talk about these plant-based cozy games that aren't farming sims. While I do love a good farming sim, if you're anything like me, I get so exhausted by being recommended the same 5 cozy games all the time, and a lot of them are farming sims. So I made it my mission to find and present to you some plant-based games that aren't farming games. Some you might know, some you might not, but all of them are games that I consider to be cozy. I will say though, one of them has a very strict condition to meet in order for me to consider it a cozy game. Be sure to keep your eye out for that one. First is a game that has been out for a bit of time now, and that is Botany Manor. Botany Manor is a puzzle game where you explore the manor of a retired botanist named Arabella Green. Learn about her research and help grow some forgotten flowers that require some special conditions for them to bloom. And while the plants might be a bit fantastical, the conditions to grow them come from real-world phenomena. This is a game that when I first played it, I wasn't expecting much more than to be a game about puzzles and plants. The story was something that I thought would be rather lacking, if not entirely absent. And I was okay with that because what I was wanting was a puzzle game and plants. I was really delighted to find that the process of solving the puzzles meant that I was learning about the life that Arabella lived. You would read her notes to find clues on how to get certain plants to sprout and grow. You'd find letters from people about they theorized would help a certain seed to bloom. And while the story is still very background to the puzzles, it is conducted in a very thoughtful way. It's clear that a life has been lived, and you, as the player, get to see snippets of what Arabella did in her life, how she got to where she is, all while she's reminiscing going through these notes to finish her research on these plants. The story is subtle and passive. You don't have to search high and low to find these tidbits of a life well lived. The second game that we have is actually one that I got on a whim. It's something that's been on my wish list for a little bit of time, but kind of kept getting pushed down the priority list. But I will say that a good sale is a good excuse. And much like Botany Manor, Garden Life, a cozy simulator, was a game that I wasn't expecting a lot from in the way of a story. I honestly kind of expected it to be something like Supermarket Simulator, where there's not a story. As far as I knew, this was a game where you get to build your dream garden in this abandoned plot of land and turn it into a community garden. And you do that by pulling out weeds and planting new plants and decorating it. And when I launched the game, I saw that there was a story mode, and I was really curious about what kind of story is going to go alongside the promise of getting to build my dream garden. And to my delight, I am greeted by a voice-acted cast of characters, and a story about the loss of the person who was the caretaker for the garden before you, and maybe how you could help that person finish their task list for the community garden. I wasn't expecting this cozy simulation game to turn into a bit of a ghost story, but it did, and it was really quite a delightful surprise for me. And while the overall mechanics of the game are repetitive and simplistic in what you're supposed to be doing, I have always been a person who enjoys that in games. To me, that's part of what makes games cozy. If you've seen my video on Grounded, you might be confident in thinking that Grounded 2 is the game that has a very strict condition to be met. And you would be wrong. Let me tell you why. Grounded 2 takes place in the lush Brook Hollow Park and features a world of plants and bugs aplenty. Some new, some old. And now I love playing a game in co-op, and playing games in co-op is usually a recipe for something to be cozy to me. And that was the requirement for Grounded 1, but Grounded 2 solves the problem that I had with Grounded 1. With the introduction of buggies, you have not only a way to traverse the massive park that is Brook Hollow, but a companion to actually fight alongside of you. I am not a person who enjoys combat in cozy games, or combat in most games. It stresses me out. I don't like it. But having a companion that really made the game much more approachable to me. And it helps that these little buggies help to do the one thing that I love doing in Grounded, which is building a base. And chopping down dandelions to build that cozy base is just as satisfying as it was in the first one. Grounded 2 is still in early access, and its most recent update has the inclusion of a new extension on the map, which includes the community garden and greenhouse, as well as reintroducing the cozy mechanic for the building of bases, which I love. Plus the addition of this adorable little guy. He's so cute. Now, Grounded 2 might be a bit of a controversial take given the creepies and the crawlies that are in the game, but I promise you that we will end on a high note for controversy. A game that is all about foraging out and about gives you a community to help rebuild, while also teaching you how to identify plants in the wild, which honestly combines 3 of my favorite things into one, which would be gaming, education, and plants. This is a game that I have been really excited for because I went to school in a time when games like Zoom Beanies were really popular for schools to sell. So during your summer break, you were playing games while also learning and preparing for the new school year. And I honestly really love a game where education is highlighted because I find that education and learning is a really important thing to partake in. And I am sure that that comes from, well, one, I love learning, but it definitely comes from my time as being an educator at a cosmetology school. I just think that it's important to learn and to teach. Out and About is successful in creating an approachable way to learn about something that some people might be really passively interested in. And as somebody who really enjoys gardening and learning about plants, I really appreciate the attention to detail that they have in making the plants. It does kind of mean that the NPCs suffer a little bit in being kind of flat in their 3D models. Their character art is so beautiful, but I'm really okay with how the visual balance is because I still find it to be very charming. And now for our last game. While this is for sure a game that focuses on gardening of a kind and selling the weeds from your garden, it is, in my opinion, a more controversial take for a cozy game, but not because of that mechanic. To call Schedule 1 a cozy game, it has to meet a very specific condition for me, and it is all about how I am playing the game. I love tending to the plants. I really enjoy packaging them and getting them ready to be sold to a caring gardener or distributor. I like to decorate the workspace, but to be honest, I really hate dealing with the complaints from the locals about what is lawful and who I should be selling my plants to.
Spray bottle? Used to mist mushroom beds. A new kind of plant for me to grow?
So, for Schedule 1 to be a cozy game to me, I have to be playing it in co-op. It's a game that I frequently play with my partner and my younger cousin, because we divide tasks into the things that we enjoy doing in that game, and that is what makes Schedule 1 cozy to me. Because all I have to worry about is if my plants have been fertilized and watered, or if I need some more seeds to grow. But hey, I would love for you to share your opinion in the comments. Have you played any of them and what's been your experience with them? And if you're wanting a farming sim game that is guaranteed to flip the script on your typical cozy experience, I have got the perfect video for you to check out right here. And with that, save your games, water your plants, and I will see you next time.